What's up? What's up? Let's talk about Bellroy's brand new Classic Rolltop. This was rolled out alongside the third iteration of their Classic backpack, and then they also came out with a 21-liter day pack, which is essentially a non-rolltop version of this that also loses that expanded volume. With this one, you get 26 liters. I was born in '88. We're a pretty special generation. I know every generation ahead of you says that they're the best generation, and like candidly, I would have loved to live in my parents' generation, but I find it interesting that we were the final generation that experienced a childhood without technology. Like beyond movies, we weren't spending our weekends in front of screens. It really wasn't until I was a freshman in college when Facebook started to become a thing. So also the vast majority of my teenage life was not dictated by social media. And now having kids, being born into this digital era, there's a lot of overwhelming, like anxiety-inducing aspects of it. And I like work in tech, I'm in software sales, so I'm like in the epicenter of it. But the reason why I bring it up is because I have found myself, and I could see this happening within our generation, is there's a certain nostalgia to connect back to those simpler, pure times. And I found myself being more and more drawn to heritage, timeless products that are built to last, but have simple designs using old school materials, and kind of going away from all of the crazy bells and whistles to try to escape this digital overload that we're in. So in the past few months, I've reviewed the Pioneer Carry Panda Pack, also the Waterfield Designs Tech Folio. And those are two bags that invoke a similar feeling as this bag does, in that they don't get too fancy. They're just a simple yet beautiful way for you to ultimately carry your things and live whatever life you want to live. Anyways, I'll share my favorite things about this bag, have a couple nitpicks that I'll get into, walk you through it, and then ultimately share who I think is going to get the most value and happiness out of this specific backpack. So let's get into it. My favorite things about this bag are, one, the simplicity in the design, which I already alluded to a large extent. Secondly is this buckle mechanism that they built in-house, incredibly satisfying. And then just lastly, I think generally speaking, Bellroy does a great job of doing this, is the overall footprint is very EDC friendly, yet you get 26 liters of volume, which I'll get into the more specifics, but just TLDR, it's a compact size, only weighs 2 pounds, and yet you can fit a ton of stuff in there. So starting off with the simplicity in the design, as you can see from a functionality standpoint and from an organization standpoint, it has everything I need in a bag, but nothing more and nothing less. But by eliminating having a million pockets and a million bells and whistles, just having really one external quick access pocket that is very functional, alongside an external water bottle holder and then a side access pocket where you can also like get into the bag and bypass the roll top, and you have a nice little quick access compartment here, which is where I throw my sunglasses. I'll dig deeper into the organization and all of these pockets when I walk you through it, but worth highlighting just this front quick access pocket. Seems very simple. Few things to call out. A, non-PU coated zippers. Bellroy, to elevate the look of their bags, they oftentimes rely on PU coated zippers more often than not. And I think this is a refreshing aspect of this bag, that you get no PU coated zippers anywhere in this bag. And then beyond that, you get really good volume. Now I have like a medium weight down jacket in here just to give it a little structure and help stand it for the video. So it does right now bulge into this compartment, but there's still, as you can see, like I can fit my hand really, really comfortably in here. You have a comfortable amount of space, whether it's for layers like AirPod Max's super bulky over-the-ear headphones, fit really comfortably in here. You can fit a tech pouch vertically pretty easily, like a Cap 1 Peak Design tech pouch. Like if a Cap 1 fits in here, most tech pouches that aren't, like 2 liters and up are gonna fit in here. And I think most people are accustomed to leaving those in the main compartment. So anyways, I'll save the rest for that. But This is a bag that initially when I first opened it up, I wasn't like blown away by it, I guess. But the more I've used it, the more I've appreciated these nuances. I feel like most of my favorite things in the world, long term, are things that when I first get them, I'm not like, holy shit. And the more I use them, I end up loving them. I think holistically, one thing that Bellroy did really, really well with this bag is, this is a classic bag. So they're doing something with heritage, old school inspiration, but staying true to Bellroy. Bellroy, I would say, are very much innovators in the bag world when it comes to materials. Pretty much all their materials are designed and developed in-house, and they do an impressive job of using recycled materials, following sustainable practices to create fabrics that aren't just good for the environment, but they feel really good to interact with and they feel natural. So even though this is not like a canvas, I guarantee you if you blindfolded 48 people and told them to feel this, they would probably like 47 would tell you that's canvas, even though it's not. I'll include the actual composition of this in-house Canva weave below. But they've done a great job of including very nuanced yet thoughtful modern touches, whether it's on the comfort side, the buckles, the stretch mesh that they're using, while preserving a timeless look. Second thing I love about this bag is this buckle here. Now, candidly, I've always been drawn to roll tops from an aesthetic standpoint. Like, you look at the Track Bannock, I mean, that might be one of the most beautiful bags in the world, in my opinion. But the functionality access side has always deterred me a little bit. I think especially when it comes to having to deal with not one, but two buckles, like the Track Bannock, right? So those Cobra buckles are really satisfying to use, but having to, it's like a very much a two-handed operation and having to be like precise about like lining it up. And I know I'm just a crazy particular weirdo, and for most people, it's not a big deal, but I do prefer a more frictionless way of getting in and out of the main compartment of a bag. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm like 98% sure this is Bellroy's first time doing a proper roll top. They launched like 4 years ago their Melbourne, which is a top lid bag with a magnetic mechanism. And then they also did a few years ago like their Apex, which also is a top lid, not a proper roll top. And it uses the Apex. I never interacted with it in person. The buckle seems definitely more like this than the magnetic one in the Melbourne, but there's something very intuitive and satisfying about this buckle. It has like a good weight to it. And then it's like just super easy. It's to both loop in and loop out. And you get this really nice tactile feedback when it goes in, just telling you like, hey, you're good, you're secure. I like being rewarded by dopamine when I'm using things. And yeah, I mean, if you were to ask me like, build out your perfect bag, would it be a roll top? It wouldn't, just because all in all, I think it's just more comfortable to access your things when you have like a clamshell opening, right? And you could like fully open it and get into it. With that being said, I appreciate the purity in just, this is like a grab and go bag, stash your things in there, not think about it too much. And there is that no fuss aspect about it that I really appreciate, though. This has to be the best executed roll top mechanism that I've seen. I know like Provoke, like the Wander, does something similar, but I find this one more satisfying how they implemented this. And the last thing I really appreciate about this is just the overall slim form factor, as well as just like the weight. Like, this bag is very well constructed. The materials feel tough, and it's only 2 pounds. I mean, that's incredibly lightweight for a 26-liter bag. But the main thing I want to talk about is just the slimness and just overall form factor relative to the volume of this bag. Has a stated volume of 26 liters. In the world of bags, unfortunately, there isn't like as much universality and consistency around what one brand states for volume as another. And I think Bellroy, with certain products, has maybe, it's felt like they've been overstated a little bit, but not by much. But volume aside, what I can tell you is that I'm 5'8", 140 pounds. Most bags that have a stated volume of 26 liters are too big for me. for everyday carry. But with this bag, the combination of the height and the slimness of the overall bag, right now I have like a pretty bulky medium weight synthetic down jacket in here, just again to help stand it. But if I didn't have something bulky, I'll show you in the video, it's pretty slim. And even with this stuff, like and that is the beauty, right, of roll tops, is that you have this expandability of vertical volume, and when you're not using it, you just roll it more. Let me show you what actually like fits in here, just so you can see what I'm talking about. But right now, here is pretty bulky, medium weight, like synthetic down quilted sweater. I have my laptop and tablet in here, and then I'm gonna throw in another like medium weight synthetic down jacket. I'm gonna throw a little Patagonia like R1 fleece pullover, and then I'm gonna put like a medium weight flannel in here. And as you can see, like I still have a good bit of vertical space, and I still have the ability to use even more space because I can still like buckle this down pretty low on the bag, which is pretty impressive. So I think for anyone who is using this as a commuter bag, you take a lot of public transportation, especially now that it's wintertime, you're carrying more layers with you. Or maybe you just want to, do some like grocery shopping and add some stuff and have that expandability. Yet having something that when you're carrying it around and it's not being fully packed out, it looks good on you. It doesn't take up a massive footprint on your back. I think it's a great option for that. Now, nitpicks. I really only have two, because I think for what this bag is specifically designed for, it does an admirable job. I'd say number one is just that this bag doesn't reliably self-stand. And then two, there's a little concaving action happening in the back panel. So I'll explain both. With the self-standing, my ideal bag stands. I think most people, once you have a bag that has that functionality, it goes from like, oh, that's a nice to have to like an almost must have. I've reviewed a lot of bags that don't self-stand, and that's not one of my nitpicks. And honestly, with this bag being 2 pounds, like it's really rare that you're gonna find a bag that is that lightweight, yet using the material that it's using, and it still self-stands. So it's not a huge deal. But for me, with this being a roll top specifically, where the vast majority of the access of this bag revolves around going from top to bottom and getting into your things, right? I feel like having more reliable self-standing would make this bag a lot more enjoyable to use. I mean, I think if you always have just, a jacket or something bulky enough in there, then you're golden. But I did play around with putting different things in there, and it was a little finicky, right? It definitely wanted to like go forward. Yesterday I was like riding bikes around, like I stopped at a few places, and every time I'd get out, like I had to think about like, okay, I need to like place it up against something as it's gonna want to go forward. And then my second nitpick with this bag is there's a little concaving action in the back panel, and I imagine that's there just to help, like with the comfort and contour around your back. Now, I consider this bag to be comfortable for sure. Like I'd give it like somewhere between like an 8.2 and an 8.6 with comfort. The straps are like pretty similar to the ones in their Transit Work Pack, but with this one, since it's a vertically oriented luggage pass-through that they included, whereas with the Transit Work Pack that goes this way, kind of prefer just the layout of the back padding. And that's me, that I have like a pretty curved back. Like every time we did the scoliosis test in school, I didn't have it, but I was like just like right at the threshold. And I still consider the bag to be comfortable. So it's not about the comfort aspect. It's in two functional areas that I think it detracts a little bit. And it's just that in the bag, right? With this being a roll top, again, like you're mainly gonna be getting in top to bottom. But I find that whether you have stuff in those sleeves or not, the way it's structured, it goes inwards a little bit. So in terms of the volume getting into it, it just makes the space feel a little bit tighter. Once you're like actually putting things in there, the material is very malleable and it expands. but it just feels a little tighter. And I think the main place where this is a really nice feature for this is you get this side access pocket here, so that if you don't want to like fuss around with the roll top, you want to quickly access a jacket or whatever, it makes this space just tighter, right? Like if I want to like take this jacket out, if I push that back, then it helps. And granted, I have my laptop in there. Here, let me take it out just to make this a little easier. But yeah, like that was easier. But yeah, putting it back in there. I just think if this was a little bit flatter, it would help with that. I experienced it, like this is a great place for your sunglasses. They included a little stretch mesh pouch in here. So I love like just being able to like swing it around my back and do a little side access in there. But again, with this concaving into it, it just makes the space feel a little bit tighter. But pretty much it. I couldn't think of a third nitpick. All right, let me walk you through it. See, I threw the jacket in there, and because of how I put it in, so I would just like, whatever you do, have something that can flatten out. Okay, so the shell fabric, this is their proprietary Canva weave. Miraculously no canvas in there. It's like 70% recycled polyester. There's like 25% nylon, and then a few other materials, but it has like a really nice matte, soft, natural hand feel. I almost want to ask them if I can wax this bad boy. Probably not, but since there's no cotton in there, it'd probably be weird, but crazy that it doesn't. You have in the front quick access pocket, and it's pretty spacious. Again, I have like something pretty bulky down there to flatten it out, but within this pocket you have a pen sleeve, you have a square pocket on one side that is just using like nylon liner material, and then on the other side they have this like stretch mesh. Bellroy stretch mesh is amongst my favorite, and this one in particular that they're using for this little sleeve is neoprene like. It's super thick, feels padded, really well protected. Freaking love it. Like I want to see more of this in their products. As far as what you can fit in here, like this is the Evergoods Cap 1, and if I put it in vertically, and this is with like a heavy jacket in there, but it fits like comfortably, and I still have like another, I can still like fully access this other pocket. It's not completely taking over the ear headphones like AirPod Maxes fit in here. Heavy gloves, beanies. And then you also get a key leash here. I like where the key leash is, like the placement of it, because you have this sleeve here. So if you put your keys in there and then you want to just like stick your keys behind that sleeve so that they're not like rattling around in the way of whatever else you might have in there, I think that's really nice. You can also throw, now that it's like wintertime, it's getting dark sooner, this is the Woobin X4 flashlight. I've been using it. I want to like do a little video on this here soon. I feel like if RoboCop had a flashlight, it would be this. USB-C charging, gets like really bright, just really impressive build quality given the fact that it's like 45, 50 bucks. And I have one of those like really excessive amount of lumens, like tactical flashlights, you know, I'll take with me when I go camping, and I usually like piss people off blinding their corneas more than I add value to my life. But I think this thing is freaking perfect, and I love that it just like magnetizes to stuff, so I just have it magnetized to my workstation. Anyways, you have a water bottle holder, which is fantastic. This is a 32-ounce hydro flask, and I have a jacket in there, and I would say this is like pretty much the limit. Like I'm just sitting down, so it's kind of like an uncomfortable position, but it actually like fits like really secure in there, as you can see. I put it upside down, do a little rattling. It's not going anywhere. That's perfect. It also fits my 24-ounce wallet in there. If I do a little test, it'll probably slide out, but it's still pretty secure in there. And then on the opposite side, you get their side access pocket, which I talked about already. It's really nice if you want to quickly access a layer rather than getting through the roll top, but just candidly, because of the concaving effect that I talk about in my nitpick, it just pushes things in this direction and just makes the space a little bit tighter and harder to access. But this is, for me, something that I probably wouldn't use for a bulky layer to access, but if it's like gloves or beanie, or just right here accessing this little stretch mesh pouch to put in my sunglasses, I think that's great. Gives you an additional quick access pocket for a smaller thing. They've added nice leather touches in the grab handle, as well as the zipper pull, and then here where the Bellroy emblem is. I like that it's, you know, like a muted matte black, gives it that tactical heritage look, and it's pretty subtle. You get vertically oriented luggage pass-through, which makes a lot of sense considering this is a roll top with that top-down access. And it's a comfortable bag. Initially, totally get, this is a classic backpack, like not having a sternum strap. The only thing is I was like riding my bike and I was like, you know, like I feel like people that commute with a bike like roll tops, or maybe it's just an association that I have, just seeing like hipster bikers with roll tops. And I'm like, maybe having the ability to have a sternum strap, maybe something removable would have been nice, but really it goes completely against like the no fuss aspect of this bag. And yeah, I was riding around for hours yesterday, and really I just came to a point, like I really did not feel like it would have made a difference. Like the way the straps hugged my shoulders felt very secure in there. Nice smooth webbing, matte black aluminum buckles, strap keepers, check, 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 check. And then here's the buckle. I talk about it in depth in my second pro, so just go there. But the TLDR is, it's just like very, very satisfying. I appreciate the fact that there's only one, not two. So it just makes getting in and out of the roll top just easier. It's more functional. And then you have a few little webbing loops here to attach whatever you might want to attach to it. And then moving to the inside of the bag, organization-wise, pockets, you really get this main one, the side access sunglass pouch, and then you get one additional one here at the top. And just feels great. It's in the top, really convenient place, and uses their just signature, really soft, buttery stretch mesh fabric. And then beyond that, you have a dedicated laptop sleeve here. You get great false bottom. I mean, yeah, I mean, this thing is probably get 2 inches, maybe not 2. Yeah, I'd say around 2 inches. Long story short, good laptop protection in here if that's important to you, which probably should be, and it fits up to a 16-inch laptop. Here's what, a 14-inch MacBook Air. And one thing is nice is like, even though the roll top, like right now I'm sitting down, but just like your visibility into the bag is not going to be as good as a traditional bag, but like where the laptop compartment is, you don't even have to like look really, just like it goes in really easily. And then you have an additional sleeve in front of it where it takes in my 11-inch iPad Air well, and there's like still additional space. So if you have like a bigger one, you have additional space in there. And that's pretty much it. In my last pro, I show you me like throwing 4 bulky jackets, sweaters in here to give you a feel for the expandability. But yeah, final thoughts. This is a bag for someone that's looking for something a little bit more nostalgic with that heritage touch, but with some of the creature comforts that you get, like a more practical way to access the roll top. Very comfortable setup. If you look at a lot of the heritage brands out there that are doing backpacks, like the Filson Journeyman, the Track Bannock, some of the Frost River or Bradley Mountain bags, those are bags that are truly for the purist, right? That you want like the full rugged heritage experience. But one place I really don't like compromising on with a backpack is when it comes to comfort. And those are bags that you can just tell are not going to be as comfortable as this. So, and not to mention when you're dealing with like heavy duty wax canvas, which is one of my favorite materials on earth, it's also really heavy, right? So the Journeyman, I think that bag's like 4 pounds or something. That to me is not practical, especially for like an everyday carry backpack. So if you want to embrace in that minimal, no frills part of your brain, have a bag that invokes kind of that heritage nostalgia, and have something that is truly timeless and stylish from a design perspective. And lastly, you value having that expandable vertical volume that you get with a roll top, then at $179, I think it's definitely a worthwhile investment. The materials, the construction, the thoughtfulness in the design justifies it, for me at least. Just think in a perfect world, if this bag stood on its own more consistently, not as dependent on whatever you have in there and how you have it in there, and that maybe this was a little bit flatter so that the space into the main compartment doesn't feel as restricted, then shit, I mean, this would be like a phenomenal bag, which it already is. So anyways, good job, Bellroy. Do more stuff like this. Thank you and cheers.